fill out the notes that I'm about to give you, and then we'll regroup, and we'll have 4 groups of 6 students. So one person from each table will now create their own group, and you'll have to share the information with everybody in your new group. So if I give you guys the nucleus, you guys are the only class that knows the information about the nucleus, and each person from this table will have to share it with the other members of the group, and you'll fill in the notes accordingly. But make sure that you write small, just because we're going to go over it as a class. So if I have anything that I want to add to it, make sure you still keep enough room. But yeah, so you'll read through the articles. You can discuss with your neighbors.
It's not for you, it's for her.
I'll give you guys about 10 minutes or so. That should be enough. And then we'll regroup so you can share with the other people in the class.
Can you read it together?
Yeah, you can read it together as a group.
All of them?
Yes.
I'll read Selman Wall.
If you so choose. As long as you understand what's on the article and you gather the most important information, you want to, yes, 2 or 3 bullet points. For what? So that you know the functions of each organelle.
No.
Oh, these are all no, so you're only
Cell membranes around every cell you study. Cell walls made of tiny
Thank you, Lord. Breathe.
and a few other organisms. Cellulose is a
Camera
structure
shy.
that is classified as a structural carbohydrate and not used for energy. If plant cells like a water balloon, the cell wall is like carbon blocks protect the balloon. The balloon is protected from the outside world by a structure that provides protection and support.
and you can write
We gotta answer some questions. These?
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
There's the new.
I wanna read that. Are you providing the function that uses to act as the cell brain?
What exactly are we? Eventually, those babies
Yeah.
to where? It doesn't say that. It doesn't say. Well, maybe it needs.
Get you when you're being serious.
Fairly simple. There is a membrane that surrounds a mass of fluid. In that fluid are nutrients or waste products. Plants may also use vacuoles to store water. Those tiny water bags help to support the plant. They're closely related to objects called vesicles that are found throughout the cell. In plant growth. So which
you're
one?
filling out 3 individual boxes. You have smooth ER, rough ER. No, you're filling it out based on what information you have. So you have information on the endoplasmic reticulum. So you'll find that on your sheet. Oh, you'll fill in that box.
And then we have the cytoplasm?
Centrioles. Yes, exactly.
Well, we already wrote the nucleus is 2 atoms to cell brain. Can we just keep it there?
You can keep it there for
Okay.
now. But you're focusing
And then
on
add
both,
later.
right? Central, smooth ER, and rough ER. Exactly.
I've been to a rough ER before. It's kind of bad.
Excuse me?
A rough ER.
You've been to a rough ER?
Did you break a leg?
Yeah. And you can read it as a group if you want. You can read it individually and then share as a group.
Okay. You just want to read it out loud?
You
You volunteer as tribute.
So she brought it up, right?
Okay.
yawning. I just had a cup of
The
coffee.
rough ER is also mentioned in the section on ribosomes and is very important in the synthesis and packaging of proteins. Ribosomes are attached to the cell membrane of the ER, making it rough. R-carbohydrate is often attached to the nuclear envelope that surrounds the nucleus. The direct connection between the pernicular space and the lumen of the ER allows the movement of molecules through the process of
Different groups. Crystal, what information are you writing? Yeah. So, for you, Brian, you might want to expand a little bit. They use light to make chemical energy, so they use sunlight to convert into sugar to use as energy. That's important. Are you guys with me? Yeah. All right. If you look on the board, I just drew a diagram. This is basically a diagram of the table that you're sitting at. If you are sitting here, so towards the door, you are at seat number 1. Next to that person, like Alana, would be in seat number 2. Samantha would be seat number 3. Ashlyn would be seat number 4, for example. So now we're going to go, you guys are in groups of 4 right now. We're going to transition into groups of 6. So if you're currently sitting in seat number 1, I'd like you to move to this front corner of the room. Bring your attention back here. Now I'm going to give you guys about 10 to 15 minutes. Each person in the group will go around and explain the organelle that they just researched based off of the article, and you'll give your group members notes on what each organelle, on what their organelle does.
As well as a sketch.
Right? As well as a sketch. So you should be filling in your notes as each person talks. And make sure you're verbally explaining it. Don't just give your group member your paper for them to copy it down. I said you have to verbally explain it to the other member.
Verbal means speak.
So if you think you don't have enough notes written down, I said you guys can bring your article to the table, so you can add more.
Containing cells.
Were they supposed to bring their papers with them, or they were supposed to?
And it breaks down the cell. It holds a variety of enzymes and releases enzymes during feeding time, I think is what we called it.
In the cell. So fills up space in the empty cell.
In the empty cell?
Huh?
In the empty cell?
No, it fills up empty space in the cell.
That's what I put. Lana, you're
Not done. Boy,
And then point an arrow inside this.
This is on the back of school. Take a look at the functions of those organelles. Flip over the page and figure out what the ailment of each patient is.
You can use partners.
Yeah, you can work in partners. Saying he's malnourished, he can't digest anything, and you're going to figure out which organelle digests things, what's preventing them from digesting it. Lysosome?
We will check them later.
Yeah, we'll go over it as a class.
If you think that's what it should be, then you should put it down.
What's a lysosome? Back-coding chemicals that digest food. 3, doctor, I feel totally run down. I eat plenty of food and get enough oxygen, but I still have no energy. Have that one? Nobody got that one, number 3?
Mitochondria.
Mitochondria? Yeah. Yes, that sounds good. How'd you come to that conclusion?
The cell gets plenty of food and oxygen, but it never has any energy, so it's always getting the
Exactly. So mitochondria breaks down the food and converts it into usable energy.
Make sure that as she's going through this, in the middle section, you have the notes that she has. You can fill it in today. The other people should have a pretty good idea.
One, the nucleus. I just want to double check to see what information you guys have. You should have the important things. It's surrounded by a nuclear membrane. It stores all the genetic material. So you can kind of think of the nucleus as, I would say, as the skull. So rather, they call it the brain of the cell, but it's more like the skull because it holds the brain in it. The brain would be the DNA. Makes sense? So if you want to note that, you can write that it's the skull that stores the brain, which would be DNA. It's responsible for protecting the DNA and making it available to provide instructions for protein production. And it also has a nucleolus. So if you look at the parts you have, which one do you think is the nucleus? Hold it up. Okay. So we have this one up. You're on the right track. This would be the nuclear membrane. The smooth ER looks more like tubules. It's not folded in the same way that the rough ER is, and it creates and stores lipids, proteins, and steroids.
So that one would be what, yellow?
Yeah, which one is the
French fries.
smooth ER?
French fries? I don't see French fries.
Potato wedges.
Potato wedges?
Do you guys have it up in the back? Zachary's table, Crystal's table? Which one's
Where's
the
the
smooth
smooth
ER?
From
There you go. So you should have this one up.
Alex?
You guys remember, but the Onion Lab, the drawings that you had, basically the only thing you could see was the cell wall and the nucleus of the onion cells. So the cell wall is a rigid layer, and it provides protection and support, and it's made up of cellulose. All right, so make sure you clear a lot of space on your desk. If you look at the board, everything that's in your baggie is either a word, a definition, or a picture. So create 3 columns. You'll have 1 column for just the words. The appropriate definition will be next to it, and then the matching picture will be next to it.
Silly, yeah.
Travis is so neat.
Yes, so organized. You're going to the one you know first?
Yours was right too, wasn't it?
Well,
Where's your confidence?
I don't know.
So,
Find your seats.
bring your attention back to the front. How was that? How do you think you guys did?
Horrible.
I didn't understand the monkey.
Was that hard? All right, so the whole point is that you guys can like do these quickly. So I want you to get the idea of what their functions are. So we're gonna keep memorizing. We're gonna keep doing